But what we do know is your ads are working. People are coming in and they're going to the self-wash stations. So far what we've learned is that's the business you should be in. There is no specific, like we went over your website, every single page, almost every single product. We went through all of your posts. I couldn't name the niche. And I talked to you. What was it? Like 1 minute in, we were like, we're best friends. Like, you're awesome. Like, I was so sold on you. I was like, John is going to love this lady and everyone's going to love you. But when we look at the products, we're like, I can't, like, it's not clicking for me.
Success is a lie if you're failing inside. You can't grow a business you hate. Welcome to the Business Reality Check.
Welcome to the Business Reality Check podcast. I'm Jonna.
And I'm Lori, and together we founded Thrive Collective because we are deeply passionate about the solopreneur and the small business owner. And we are tired of seeing people try to build a business based on someone else's lifestyle or proven formula that doesn't actually fit who they are.
We believe that your business should be a reflection of your journey and your values. We're here because we care about the person behind the professional, and we want to help you realign your work with the life that you actually want to lead. If you're feeling stuck or like you're living in a business that was built for someone else, you're not alone. This podcast is about having the honest, heart-centered conversations you need to get back to what matters. We're going to look at what's truly holding you back and challenge the shoulds that keep you small. We do this with kindness and radical clarity because you deserve a business that works for you, not against you.
That's right. And if you'd like to see our faces and feel like you're right here in the room with us, head over to youtube.com/@BizRealityCheckPod to watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Check the podcast notes for all the links and resources from today's episode. And if you're ready for your own reality check, we've also included a link to apply to be a guest. We'd love to hear your story. All right, let's get started. So today we are talking with Selena Parrish. She has been in the veterinary world since 1995. She's always had a love for animals, and that love grew into a passion for educating pet owners and let her move to the preventative side of pet care. That's how Wags, Whiskers, and Beyond was born. What started as a mobile concept grew and grew until it was time for that next step. So she opened a physical location in Yukon, Oklahoma, a pet boutique and self-serve pet wash where every product on those shelves has been hand-selected by a registered veterinary technician with 30 years of experience. When Selena puts something in her store, she already knows what's in it, what it does for your pet, why it makes your life's pet better with that thing. And what makes her different is that her customers are getting access to someone who's dedicated their entire career to keeping animals healthy and thriving. She built the kind of place that pet owners in her community are truly lucky to have. So today we're digging into the marketing side of her business, how to turn first-time visitors into loyal, returning customers, how to grow her sales online, and how to make sure that people who need what she has are actually finding her. She has built something real in Yukon. Now, let's make sure the right people know that it exists. So, Selena, welcome to the Business Reality Check.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and get all the ideas that you guys have for me.
Yay, we are so excited. So excited that you're here. So we want to start off with just, kind of a big ask, a question for you. So we know that marketing is the big hurdle that we kind of need to clear today, but I wanted to start here. So you said that you were, a 10 out of 10 when it comes to passion for your clients, for your business, but you're also kind of sitting at that 10 out of 10 on the frustration side of things as well. So since we're in this together today, what is one thing that you need to walk away with to feel like that frustration is starting to lift?
I need a concrete plan. So something that I can have written down in front of me that I can, like a flow through chart that I can go through to do this, to do this, to do this, to hit this. So I always end up getting stuck with, well, I did this and this. Now what do I do next? So I always have a hard time, trying to put all my ducks in a row and get to where I need to be, because I get frustrated. And then I'll be honest, I'm human. I back off and get irritable. And I'm like, I'm going to have to come back to this later. And sometimes I don't go back to it. So I need just a clear-cut plan, a plan to get me from A, to Z.
I just want to say that I love that you said that. Like, that is such a powerful, bold statement. And for anyone else listening, she just nailed it. It's not just that you need to know kind of like a plan. Plans are great. Like, obviously, a roadmap would just be incredible. But it's also like, well, but what does this mean? And then what do I do after this? Or what if maybe I learn something else in this step? So having experts and peoples or mentors or coaches, someone who can reflect that information back and actually look at the strategy, it's like, are there even words for the power that holds? So Selena, everyone now knows you're completely brilliant. If they weren't sure, thank you. You started us off on I just wanted to underline how powerful that statement was. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I was gonna say, I was like, you're speaking Lori's language right here. I was like, so I know we kind of gave a little introduction about you, at the beginning, but I think everybody wants to kind of hear too, like more about your why, why you started this business, why your love is in this, and just a little bit more about, kind of who you are and how that carries through into your business.
And I know a lot of people say this because it's common, right? Everybody, well, not everybody, most people love pets. They love animals, even wild animals. And I always have, just from a kid. I mean, I have photos. Well, my mom has photos of me kissing on our cat. I've always loved animals. I actually found a turtle when I was young, a box turtle out in the yard, and begged my mom to let me keep it. I've always had a passion for animals. And so in school, I wanted to go to vet school, and I should have, and I kind of regret not going, but I should have gone and I didn't. So I decided the next best thing would be veterinary nursing, right? Because then I have constant hands-on care, being able to help these pets get through whatever it is they're going through, being able to support and educate clients for whatever it is that their pets are going through, And it's like ingrained in my soul. This is what I've always wanted to do. I'm just passionate about pets. I'm passionate about educating pet parents. It just makes me happy. It just completely fulfills me to be able to do this. It's like you can tell my whole demeanor changes when I'm talking to a pet parent or interacting with their pets. It's just, I'm a totally different person when I'm able to do that.
Sounds like you just like light up, like you just, it's like when it clicks, I feel like it's wonderful when we can find what truly like energizes us and lights us up, from a younger age, because it's like, I know people who didn't discover that, you know what I mean, until they were in their 50s, 60s. And it's like, you don't have that time with it to grow and develop and build it into what it can be. So I love seeing that. I love knowing that your journey started, when you were so young and like where you are now, but you've been on the right pathway, the whole time, which is great. When did you decide that like working for other people and things like that just wasn't what you wanted to do anymore, and that, shifting to kind of doing your own thing was the right move?
I've always wanted to be a small business owner. So, I mean, of course, not when I was super young, because I didn't understand that. But once I got into the job field, I always wanted to be a small business owner. And even when, or I guess it would be after I graduated tech school and started working in practice, I actually wanted to partner with another veterinarian and be a practice owner. Of course, that's a huge undertaking. And I never really jumped on that bandwagon. I brought it up to my boss and was like, I should buy into the clinic, things like that. But it wasn't until, I don't know, probably maybe 6-7 years ago. Well, probably more than that, probably like 10 years ago, when my husband decided that he wanted to be his own boss, and he went into real estate, which is what he's always had a passion to do. He just never pursued it until, 10 or so years ago. And seeing him grow his business made me want to do the same. And I'm like, I can do this too. I want to do this too. And then how cool is that for us to be entrepreneur power couple, right? So he kind of, I guess, pushed me. So I've always wanted to be a small business owner, but he kind of pushed me into that realm. He's like, you can do this. Let's do it. Let's just do it.
Love that. I love that so much. I think that's like you guys are both on your own journeys together but at the same time, but separate. So that's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think like one of the common themes and obviously you've told us this, but you're very passionate about, education and bringing that education piece to pet owners and things like that. So is that still kind of like a big part of what you do, is like educating those pet owners here in the area, recommending products and things like that?
Absolutely. So anytime I talk to any pet parents, if there's something that they're struggling with, whether it be a medical issue that they have questions about, or if it's, just as simple as, hey, what toy would be best for my super chewer dog? I love talking to them about all these things. And I like to explain why this is important, why you should do this and why you should do that, because this is the outcome ultimately that you want to get for your pet. So just as much as interacting with the pets, I really enjoy talking to the pet parents and getting to know them, as well as getting to know, their pets too, because then that helps me connect better with them as well as with their pet, because then I know the personality of that pet, what that pet enjoys, so it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, I know Lori had, that was one of the questions that we had wanted to talk about a little bit, was kind of like, and as we keep diving, we'll talk a little bit more about like your niche and who you serve. But I think that's, Lori, I think that's kind of like what you were looking for.
Yes. And I've made another little secret note for you, Jana. For people who aren't here with us. So we prep for like an hour building out, all these deep questions so that when we can get here, it's just like, let's go. And so we have like 3 different concepts and ideas we could potentially run with. But until we hear from you, it doesn't make sense to just go, hey, let's do this. And, like someone called it something really funny today. I forget exactly how she put it, but it's like little idea fairies. Has anyone ever been visited by the idea fairy? And then you get a little lost in following her, and then you try to come back to that thing that you were aligned on. So I know, being that you mentioned marketing was a big piece of it for you, we're going to focus a lot on that. And Jana, I think she's answered everything that I need to like dive in. Like, I want to dive in. I'm ready.
Yeah.
You feel ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
You open it up. So we kind of go through, just for you, Selena, we kind of go through like a why, a who, a what, and a how. And we kind of like focus on these different, and you'll see how they come together and like make this beautiful pathway.
Awesome.
And I think what's great too is a lot of us might think we know the answers, but I think you are so great in that you recognize that there are gaps and you don't know everything. And I love that about you from the moment we had that first conversation, because we're very much the same way. We're not like, oh, well, we know everything, so ask us all the questions, because we are just like consummate know-it-alls. But you obviously have a sense of who is like your target audience. People call it an avatar, or it's who you serve. That's how we like to frame it, as like, who are you serving with your products? And then you have the service, which is the self-wash. So I want to know first, who is the person, who's the kind of customer right now who's coming back? Maybe they're buying both things, like your top customer. Tell us about that person.
So I have a couple of people that actually have come back multiple times. I actually do loyalty reward stuff. So one of them was able to cash in her loyalty rewards, which was super cool. I was pretty excited about that because she was the first one that got to cash in her loyalty rewards. So these are people who, these ladies are people who, so they get their dogs groomed routinely, but in between times, they need to get that bath in between times. Because if you're going out 6-8 weeks with your grooming, even 12 weeks with your grooming, or maybe you only groom twice a year, 3 times a year, sometimes our dogs play outside, they get really gross and stinky, and you don't want them to be stinky in your house, right? So those are the people that are coming in consistently. So they come in probably, I've seen them probably once every 6 weeks or so. They're coming in, and all of them actually have 2 pets. So they bring both of their pets in and then bathe both of them. And then, of course, we get to talking and stuff like that. I get to learn about the pets, and I get to learn about what they do for a living, and, which they'll tell me too why they're coming in and bathing so often. And those seem to be the ones that are returning, are the ones that are also getting their pets groomed routinely and then coming in between grooms.
And what do they say when you ask them why they're coming back on this routine? What's the main reasons?
Because they want their dogs to smell good in between grooms, because, you know, they're indoor dogs. So when you have pretty much a strictly indoor dog, you know, you don't want to have a strictly indoor super stinky dog, right? And one of the ladies actually came back recently because her Siberian Husky decided it would be super fun to go out and roll and play in the mud, and got all super gross and dirty. And she's like, well, and then there's that. So that's why she came in, because he was all muddy. And she's like, well, I got to bathe him now. He thought it was super fun to get gross. So
It's hilarious from afar, not super funny when you're in it. I've had a Husky, so I know the temperament, but would you say they're all generally longer haired overall?
Most of them, yes. Yeah, most of them, yes.
Okay. Are these mostly women also focused on natural ingredients, safety? What else are they thinking about? What's their big concerns other than the grooming and smelling good part?
So they like that the way I have my wash base set up is they are individual. So some of the self-serve washes that you have seen, or I don't know if you've seen, but other people have seen, it's like just one big room where multiple tubs are in this one big room. So then the dogs are not necessarily right up against each other exposed, but they're all exposed to each other in this big room. And so a lot of dogs don't respond well to being in an environment where there's tons of other dogs unless it's a super confident dog. And some of these dogs are a little anxious, and they really like that when they come in, they can kind of get a secluded space. So I have a completely enclosed bay that one of the customers that comes in routinely, she uses that enclosed bay only. That's the only bay she will use, because she can lock the door and close herself in there. And it's a mesh, you know, it has mesh on the door. So it's not like she's completely enclosed in like the scary isolated room. She can still see and hear and all that on the outside, and everything that's going on the outside. But she likes to be in there because she's secluded in a space. She doesn't have to worry about other dogs coming up to her dog, or she didn't have to worry about her dog getting over the fence when she pulls him out of the tub to dry him on the floor, you know, things like that. They like that it's separated, that the wash bays are separated, and they can kind of have a secluded experience with their pet instead of it being all in one where there's just multiple dogs everywhere.
That makes sense. I mean, my dogs definitely are socialized, but like if I was trying to give my dog a bath with a bunch of other dogs around, like it would not go. It would, like, you know, they'd be like, let's play. Why are we taking a bath? So I think that's great. And I think that's, you know, just a show of like very intentional service, you know what I mean? In the way you've designed it to make sure it's inclusive for dogs that maybe aren't the most socialized or do have anxiety with other animals and things like that as well. I like that.
And I think that's great. I appreciate that you explained that, because you were intentional in the way you built your business. I want to know more about their other concerns. Are they also buying products that are, you know, all natural? What are they looking for? Are they looking for organic? Are they looking for natural? Are they health conscious women? Or is that not exactly the fit for that? That's where we're trying to get a little more of a deeper understanding of like, well, what else is on their mind?
These particular women that are coming in, they are health conscious, but they aren't necessarily about all natural ingredients, although that is what I do carry in the shampoo conditioners that I supply for the customer base when they do come in and bathe their pets, because that's important to me. But they don't necessarily say that when they're coming in, really. I'm trying to think of it. Really, I mean, it's really just simple. They like the secluded bays. They like, you know, coming in and bathing their pet, and they like the way the shampoos smell. I mean, they really don't say much else about other things other than they just prefer not to have a bunch of dogs around at the same time when they're bathing their dog.
Mm-hmm. So more of the like exclusive, like it's, you know, it's not, you're not coming into a busy PetSmart where there's a bunch of other, you know, dogs around and people and things like that. It's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more slow paced, maybe. Like they feel like maybe they're also not rushed, maybe when they're giving the dogs, a bath or things like that. I feel like that could be a factor for me because I have a Pyrenees, so I have a very large dog. And so I would probably be a little self-conscious because she hates water. So like, I'd be like, oh no, I hope not a lot of people here are watching and things like that. So I feel like some privacy is good. Lori's cracking up.
I'm laughing at her. Okay, so like, do you think they're finding you online or in person? What have you heard so far?
Majority of the people that I have asked how they've heard about me, they've actually found me through our Facebook ads.
Okay, we're gonna have you.
So they did find us through our Facebook ads. And then I am at a very busy intersection here in Yukon. So there is probably, I would say, maybe 40%, 45% of the people are actually drive-by. And I have 2 big flags that I put out front, and one says dog wash. So they're like, oh, a dog wash. Let me go in here and see what this is about. And then that's when they come in and they talk to me, and, I let them know what services we provide.
Yeah, I can see. So for context, I live about a mile from your store. We looked it up the other day, but so I live very close and I drive past pretty frequently. And so I could definitely see like people coming in, foot traffic, things like that, because it is in a very, like you're saying, a very visible part of Yukon with a lot of car traffic, which is good. Facebook ads, that's definitely something we want to talk a little bit more about. Like, when you do the ads, are you focused on like the self-wash? Is it products? What are you kind of targeting the ads towards?
So what we wanted to start with, which my husband helps me with all this kind of stuff too. So he is my, my helper on the side. I don't know. I don't employ him, but he helps me do things.
The obligatory husband tax. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So right now we're focusing just on the self-serve wash part, because I figured, we need to I feel like if I put too many eggs in one basket, not everything is going to get addressed as it should. So I'll start with, the self-serve wash, because this is a service that most people will enjoy. They'll be glad that there's a self-serve dog wash here, that they can bring their dog in, whenever they need to, instead of having to mess up their bathroom or, hurt their back bending over their tub. So really all we have focused on with the ads particularly is just the self-serve wash.
This episode is brought to you by Social Work Exam Prep. For social workers, the exam is a powerful step toward your mission of advocacy, inclusion, and real-world impact. It is the bridge to the career you were meant for. At Social Work Exam Prep, they prepare you to approach the exam exactly the way the test makers intended. Led by Wendy Elias, a clinical social worker with over 25 years of experience, who designed the curriculum to elevate your clinical judgment, critical thinking, and ethical awareness. With an 88% first-time pass rate, their 5-module course masters the DSM-5 and therapeutic modalities while integrating essential self-regulation skills to keep you grounded and focused under pressure. You can study at your own pace with a curriculum designed by a practicing, clinically licensed social worker who's taught more than 500 people for over 15 years. Invest in your expertise and move through your final stretch of prep with absolute clarity. Visit socialworkexamprep.net today and successfully pass your social work exam. Okay, and then my question for you is, do you have a Facebook pixel on your website?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So there is a pixel on my website. Yes. And that is super confusing to me. And I've been messing around with things and trying to fix stuff.
That's where we're asking about like your campaign objective as well right now and what you have, because it can track clicks, links, and conversions, and they can't book on your website for your self-serve. So that's one of the questions we had about, like, you're sending them. Are you sending them to your site? Is that what you're doing? Is it like a link-based ad, or?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit. Okay. So the objective would be to take them to the site to convert them, but how do you know that it's working? Are you just simply seeing more self-serve people come in and you've asked them and they're like, I saw your ad? Is that kind of how you gather data?
Recently, yes. So each time someone comes in, I do ask them how they found out about us. Yes. So I am asking them. I do have, so you can see too on the Facebook ads, how many people are clicking, how many people are reached, as well. So I can see that. And my self-serve, it's not by appointment. So it's walk-in only. So
Okay.
they don't book anything. They just walk in.
And how do you capture their information? Name, email, things like that.
When they come in, I actually add them to my customer database on my Square. I actually add them myself. And then I have a little notes section and where I can put in, if I want to put in what shampoo they were using. And then I also have a pet section where I add the name of their pets and the breed of their pets. So that way I always know who their pets are.
Love that. That's something we had talked about. We wanted to make sure you were collecting more like data, on your customers for sure. You mentioned a loyalty program as well, correct? Did you mention?
Yes.
I do want to make sure we don't dive too deep into that yet, but
I don't want to. I just want to kind of know like the loyalty program, like just a very brief overview of like what do they get? Like what is the perk of the loyalty program?
So when they sign up for text messaging, they get, so it also tracks how much money they spend. So for each dollar that they spend in shop, no matter what it's on, they get a paw instead of a point. So just like the point system on your other places that you go to, it's a paw instead, which I thought was super fun. And once they get to 100 paws, they get 10 free dollars for anything in the store. And it automatically sends that coupon to their phone. So they automatically have it, they come in, and it's also tracked with their phone number that they put in my Square account. So if they already have this $10 coupon, then when they come in the next time, it automatically takes that $10 off of everything. Great. And then we also do loyalty wash cards. So I have little cards that I hand out per pet, and each time they come in, I mark off a paw, and once they get to 9 paws, they get their 10th bath for free.
Okay, so that one is manual, in person, sort of physical, and then the other one is through your Square system.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will say, I don't think either one is mentioned on the website.
I have not updated the perks. Yes, on the website. I need to.
We'll put it because we got more thoughts coming. Don't worry about it. And I think in terms of the who you serve, I think we were also wondering, we saw this somewhere, maybe more in your social media, about serving like maybe vet hospitals or rescue groups. Do you work with those types of people specifically as well?
Yes. So being in the vet field for the many, many, many moons that I have been in the vet field, I do have relationships with veterinarians and other veterinary technicians. So I do let them know what's going on and if I'm having special events and things like that. And they do share my post and tell people about me. So they are helping that way. And then the rescue groups, I do work with rescue groups because I'm huge on rescuing instead of purchasing a pet, which I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I purchase pets too, but there's just something different about rescue dogs. They're just so appreciative. So yes, I work with rescue groups as well. There are a couple that I have built relationships with that know about me and send people my way.
Okay. I think there might be a little bit of who mixed in with a little bit of the what you're doing here, but not having that information anywhere, I think, is a detriment because I wonder if the target audience that you serve would love to know about that. And if I don't know how the relationships work, and you don't really need to delineate that, but I think it would serve the rescues better, and maybe even having those veterinarian recommendations by you to have that somewhere, whether it's like a partner page or something. And then Jonna and I were also maybe talking about a landing page, even if it's hidden, for the other, like the veterinarians, the rescues, on how you can help them. Because I don't know if they would right now know, like, hey, oh my gosh, she has this great referral program where she's going to let me put my card in her store, et cetera, et cetera. Started to come up a little bit with the who because we couldn't really tell if you wanted people to know that you were kind of benefiting those relationships in some awesome, fabulous, incredible way, we're huge animal lovers here, if you don't know that. Like, this is incredible. So I think it's a missing that nobody knows about it. I think it's a good place to start.
I love it. I love it. That would be perfect. And yes, another thing I am doing with the rescues is I actually have recently met 2 of the animal control officers in Yukon. And so they had stopped in and just to chat with me. And I mentioned to them that if they wanted to bring any of the dogs that they happen to pick up, any stray pets, if they're super dirty or stinky, or if they just want to give them a bath so that they are more adoptable, they can come by anytime. And I don't charge them for that bath. I supply everything. They just come in, they bathe. They even told me I'll pay out of my pocket. And I'm like, that is not necessary. I'm doing this because I love rescuing and helping the rescues too. So, not at all. You can come by anytime.
We love that. And we do have we wrote down a whole list of ideas, which we'll dive into soon, but we have a lot of ideas around like rescues and like maybe, the adoption centers and things like that here, where you could work with it, where one, you're honoring your value system, your morals, like wanting to really, lift up the rescue animals, but also using it as a marketing tool at the same time. So, kind of like giving it, 2 purposes with one, but not like, I'm only doing this because I'm going to make money, but it's like, helping it be word of mouth, getting more people familiar with your business and, what I mean? And getting them more in touch with who you are and into this Yukon community. Being part of the Yukon community, I do know we are very small business oriented. We are about lifting up those business owners in our community. I looked at the reports recently that came out, from last year, and we were like one of the top ranked cities for money coming right back into our town, like our spending habits and things like that. So like you're in a great place for it.
I love that.
I wonder too if people would donate a wash if you gave them the option, as many times as you can let people contribute. I know that's a core value of your own to just give, but it is also the core value probably of your clientele. Mm-hmm. So if like Jonna is that type of person, she and I always make sure we're giving back, donating our time. I could totally see her for holidays or something important, or like even having, a teachable moment for her daughter to donate a wash to a rescue who might really be in need.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like the concepts of those cafes, where you can come in and you can buy an extra meal and they put a little thing up, a paw print on the wall that someone can take down to redeem for, a rescue dog or a foundation or something like that. And then, but it gives people the chance to do good without like, going to volunteer at the shelter. It's a whole thing. And there's a lot of regulations and there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of people who do it. And I feel like people want to give back in small ways, but they don't always know how to give back in small ways.
That's a fantastic idea. I never even thought about that. That is awesome, because you're right. There would be so many people that will be like, hey, I'm going to, donate this extra wash. And like you said, the whole paw print thing, that's really cool. Because then, people are going to, hey, can I help? Absolutely. Please do. Mm-hmm. That is great. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then you've got some dedicated resources to go towards, you know what I mean? And if it ends up being like way more than the washes you get, it can be like we had a bunch of extra money from the washes you guys bought. So we went out and we bought a bunch of blankets for this rescue, for Bella Rescue or whatever it is. And be like, this is what you guys did. So like, you can change and pivot and things like that. If it's like, holy crap, 100 people just came in and paid for, dog washes. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to keep exploring too.
I love it. That is awesome. Yes.
We got you. That's why we ask a lot of questions. We totally know where your core values are at. And I think that brings us well to your what, which for us will embody what we're doing for marketing, what we're doing for like intentional event-based marketing, and what you're actually offering and giving you some of those ideas we thought about. So I know Jonna, being in your area, knows very well the power of the chamber and some other things. So
yeah, so we wanted to talk if you were dipping into, the Yukon Chamber of Commerce, any of like networking events or anything like that. There's a ton in the city, a lot.
I have not done anything with the chamber. It has been on my radar to actually go and pay and be part of the Chamber of Commerce. Yes. And I do see the different events and stuff that they have. And I actually thought how cool it would be, because I know they do. They have the event where they go to whichever business and they have coffee in the morning for networking, right? And I thought, how cool would that be if I could have a space where you could actually bring your pet with you if you wanted to? You know, because you're not going to be able to necessarily go in all the coffee shops. I mean, some of them allow pets, but here you can just bring your pet, you know, drink some coffee, hang out with like-minded pet-loving folk. That's, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of people in the chamber who have lots of pets and love them. I can think of a few off the top, but I highly recommend doing that. That's like Lori's highlight. She's like money making tasks. The chamber is very proactive here. I would say it's one of the best in this area of Oklahoma. It's better than a lot of the other cities' chambers. What time does your store open on Fridays?
So on Fridays, I have to open late in the afternoon because I do have another job that I actually have. So on Fridays, I don't open until 2:00 in the afternoon on Fridays. So that makes it kind of hard.
That's fair. So their coffee meetings that they do are always Fridays at 8 a.m. So it's like the same schedule, the same cadence and things like that. But if that's something that you could work with your schedule, it's very useful. I mean, there's usually 100 or more people. Like, I mean, it's a good amount of people who come and are there to like show up and network and support. And you get like the ribbon cutting and things like that as well, which is a great value too.
Yeah.
I could work around my schedule. We could figure it out. We could make it happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you had in terms of grand opening, but a grand reopening is a power move. We cannot recommend it enough. If you do it right, you will be slammed with leads, which is fabulous. So if you do decide to join the chamber, they can host that ribbon cutting and do a really successful like reopening event, because even if you did do this before, I mean, in marketing, there's no like boundary there. You know, you can just redo it and do it better with better marketing, better language, you know, all the stuff. So if you do any one thing, join the Yukon chamber. I'm sold, because she's told me about events and we do not even have anything like that in my communities here. I'm shocked by their fabulous ideas. Do a grand reopening ribbon cutting with them. Even if you can't make it to their meetings, you can still participate in other things. So I would definitely do that. And we're going to talk more marketing, but I do want to ask you too, like, so we talked a lot about the self-wash stations, but when it comes to like the products, the what in terms of the products, I know you handpick everything, but are people who shop with you, are they shopping online? Are they shopping in the store? Give us a little bit of sense of the product side.
So that's where we're struggling. So before I actually opened this brick and mortar, I converted an 18-passenger bus into a mobile store. So I would drive my bus around to different events around the city, go to Blanchard, Newcastle, wherever, and open my bus for shopping. And so I would get a lot of people coming into the bus because they're curious, oh, this is super cool. But since I've opened the brick and mortar, I don't have the retail traffic anymore. And I haven't sold anything on my website, which is really frustrating, in probably 2 years. I mean, I just don't have conversion. Now there's people getting on my website and there's people looking at the products. They're just not converting. And I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Well,
I was say this is something Lori and I kind of talked about because, you know, again, like I'm right down the street from you. I live really close, so I could walk up there and buy something. But we live in an age of convenience, and I can also hop on Amazon or Chewy or whatever and order something, right? Like there's like that familiarity in like the world that we live in where people are making that choice over like, I'm going to go into this small shop, I'm going to go pick out these products, take them home, etc. In our opinion, people are going to purchase your products because they love your store. They love who you are. They love, your heart and who you serve. We don't think that it's necessarily going to be like people are going to choose you for e-commerce, like if you're running ads for e-commerce, because it's a competitive market. You know what I mean? Even here locally, we've got Hollywood Feed. We've got a lot of different places that are more product focused. You know what I mean? Like Hollywood Feed is all product focused, and that's what they do. They've got text marketing and campaigns and things like that. We think fronting, you know, the self-wash part being like, that's the hook. You know what I mean? That's what people are coming in for. Then we have these great retail products because one, we hate to see you like sitting on inventory and having that like negative cash flow, you know what I mean? Because of the cost of inventory if you're not moving products. So like, instead of focusing on it, you know, e-commerce stuff and draining and feeling like discouraged, you know, maybe it's more just like, we carry a small line of very like special things in store, you know what I mean, that I stand behind personally, and focus on building up the self-wash and upselling, you know what I mean? Be like, hey, like, we know you love this shampoo. Like, do you want to buy your own bottle for Rex? We can put it behind the counter. So you've got your own bottle to work through. And, you know, like, oh, we know this is his favorite treat. Just, you know, the bags are on sale this week. It's, you know, 2 for $20. Here you go. Lori, you look like you wanted to chime in there.
Well, it's just if the business is speaking to you, it's telling you what's working. You're also, I don't know the profitability of your self-wash station, so I can't say with 100% gusto, like, girl, that's the answer. But what we do know is your ads are working. People are coming in and they're going to the self-wash stations. So far what we've learned is that's the business you should be in. There is no specific, like we went over your website, every single page, almost every single product. We went through all of your posts. I couldn't name the niche. And I talked to you. What was it? Like 1 minute in, we were like, we're best friends. Like, you're awesome. Like, I was so sold on you. I was like, John is going to love this lady and everyone's going to love you. But when we look at the products, we're like, I can't, like, it's not clicking for me. And so that's where we were wondering what direction makes the most sense. Because if you want to compete with Chewy, I wouldn't recommend it. I would take a niche that exists and carve your own specific face of that thing. Mm-hmm. So individual self-wash bays for every kind of animal, which is so cool. I love that you put the picture of the guinea pig. My wildest dreams, I can imagine my mother when I had them just being so mad at me for like all the dumb stuff I got into with them. You know, hamsters in the wall and whatever, but like, I'm so excited to see that you have this. I wonder if like this was what you did. This is a self-serve wash business for dogs, cats, and small creatures. And like Jonna said, you come in, you buy the shampoo, one for home, one for here. You buy the treat, you buy the little collar, and all the stuff, because you said they care about smelling good, cleanliness, maybe the stuff that they chew on. Be like, hey, while you're here, if you already spent $10 on the wash, but for $10, there's these big dog toys that they cannot break. You want me to add that to your order? And you just like, if they're a yes, you keep going. That's the rule of sales if you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Never stop at yes. So if you're all listening, write that down. Don't stop at yes. Because think about that. You carry less, but you carry really intentional, specific stuff that you've hand selected that you can educate on, and that people are like, oh, that is actually like a really meaningful suggestion. Thank you. I probably never would have found that. How does that land for you? What are you thinking about?
I love the idea. Yes. And I know there's a lot of stuff on my website. And I probably need to go through and clean up a lot of the things because I don't have a full stock of products. So mostly what I have are my harnesses, and I want to continue carrying the harnesses. So these harnesses particular, I get these on purpose because of how they're made. A lot of people have problems with their harnesses where their dogs will slip out of them, or they'll ride up and choke them if they have a collapsing trachea. And my harnesses that I purchase from the manufacturer do not do this. They're specifically geared not to slip, not to choke, and to be comfortable. So I really try to push my harnesses because I absolutely love them. But I do also want to keep the retail side of it too. So I was kind of thinking, well, should I grow the self-serve wash part to get the return customers? And then, like you were saying, able to add those little extras. Hey, I have these no hide chews that are not rawhide based. Would you like to take one home for your dog?
Yeah. Yeah, we love that. We hate to feel like we hate to see you pouring so much energy into like, e-commerce and updating it and things like that if it's just not paying off. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that like 5 years down the road, you're not going to have the customer base to have, you know what I mean? Maybe at that point you'll have the customer base where you're like, honestly, we kind of need this e-commerce store. Like I'm getting a ton of orders, you know what I mean? But like maybe just launching it right away wasn't the right move, So but still doing retail in the store, in person, things like that, but not focusing so much on the e-commerce with like, you're getting people in the store, getting them to talk to you, to do the self-wash and then buying products from you, as opposed to like just cold buying something, from your Facebook or your website. It's just not going to click the same way. And I think that you'll see the conversion rate and things like that if you like shift your language towards, self-wash. Plus we have all kinds of goodies that I've picked out for you. I think you'll see higher conversion, more repeat customers, like more attracting the right person. How many out of every 10 customers do you think buy something retail when they come in to do the self-wash?
Honestly, out of every 10, 0.
Okay.
Like I am not, since I opened the brick and mortar, I am here and there, hit or miss, getting purchases for stuff in shop. And it's usually people that, it's my friends, it's my family members that are like, oh, hey, I need another harness for my dog. Or, hey, my dog chewed up this chew. I need another one. I'm going to stop by. It's those people, really.
Which is, hey, everybody starts there. Okay. We always start with those people and then it grows and it grows and it grows. So, as far as events, have you hosted any events in your store?
I have. So I've only done one so far, and that was my grand opening event. Prior to having the brick and mortar, my mom and I actually, because she enjoys doing events as well, we were doing events pretty frequently through the spring and the summer and reaching out to other pet businesses, doggy daycares, things like that, and doing pop-up events at their location. But now that I have mine, I'm like, well, I need to be doing more events out here.
Yeah.
Okay. We were doing a lot of the good stuff. It's just like when we talk about event-based marketing, we want it to be really intentional. And you're reading from the list of referral partners we had thought of for you: doggy daycares, dog parks, even the cafes where these women might hang out and chill and go to. Like Jana's like a little cutesy cafe queen. Like she sends me these little pretty pictures of these little places she likes to get her tea. Like she could be one of your targets because of the kind of animal she has. She's thinking like, I don't want them to stink and like lay in bed with me and like all that stuff. So I think of someone like her. But I also think it's very interesting that like you were doing it. Love to see you hosting it again. And I just wanted to ask you, since you keep saying that you really want to keep retail, it's not really an answer that I want you to answer now, but I do want you to resonate on why and just think about that a little bit more, because the business structure you chose to be brick and mortar is giving you data that like retail doesn't make sense for you. So unless you've got the angle that we suggest, like self-wash business and the retail behind it with no more e-commerce, which like, I know that's kind of big. You said change is kind of freaky out. Anyone else who's listening is freaking out if this was them, by the way. But like I just want to underline, we're saying take your e-commerce off, because the amount of work, trust me, we have been there, makes you want to throw your computer straight out the window. I would say stop it. No more retail. And I want to check in with you, like when you're doing events or someone's coming in, are you making the ask? Are you putting a product in her hand and saying, wouldn't that be so great for Rufus? Doesn't he need that? That's where I want your mind to go, is self-wash plus these beautiful, thoughtful, meaningful, well thought out, hand selected things. It's going to work. You can backtrack into retail another time. But I just don't want you to leave this conversation thinking we're like, yeah, it'll be good. We're not saying that. Okay. It's not gonna be good now. Even Jana and I, we've really pivoted, right, Jana, over the years?
Things have changed. Like it's not, and it's not all you, like what worked, you know what I mean, before you changed. Like things are just so different. Like stuff has just shifted. People aren't buying the same way. They're not making buying decisions the same way. COVID changed so many things, and like, you know, just how the economy after that, like I feel like it's just a completely different world. I mean, we know so many people who were mega sellers and they had all these like commerce things, and they had to like shift back to service-based businesses because people just aren't spending the same way that they used to spend on stuff. You know what I mean? It's more like intentional services, or you know, things like that is what people are starting to spend money more on. And it's just like, it's the season. It's the season of that. I think some of the events like we thought about, you know, again, partnering with those rescues, doing like a give back day. You know, all the schools here, like everybody's going to go eat at the local Yukon and we're going to give 10% back to whatever school it is. Like, you know, host events at your store where you're partnering with a rescue, you know, and everybody who comes in and gets a self wash or purchases something, you know, you're donating a percentage back, or have a pet photographer come and do pictures there. Host classes like those educational classes, right? One about harnesses, and then you pitch all your harnesses and you get half the people to buy one at the end of the class. You know what I mean? So they're walking out with a safer harness for their dogs. You have, you know, your audience, while it's not necessarily like niche as like healthy and things like that, you've got people who have disposable income to spend on their animals. You know, that's now there's pet owners who do not spend money on their pets, and there's pet owners who spend money on their pets. And so you are in that, like, it's a luxury service. You know what I mean? It really kind of is, because people can wash their animals at home if they want to. So it's a luxury service. And I think Lori and I are going to push back on something you said earlier about being able to book the bay. So I think because you do have more than one self-wash bay, I think one of them should be reserved for people to like book out a time. I think you will see more traffic, because like those ladies that you were talking about, I guarantee they would probably go on and like reserve their spot. So they know, I'm getting that private enclosed bay. I don't have to worry about waiting. And then the other one could be like a walk-in. So you always have a walk-in bay available, and you always have like a bay that people can reserve. I think that would truly serve your audience. I think people would like to see that. And then that changes your ask. For the ads, you can ask people to book their appointment. You can, you know, your call to actions on social media can be like literally just grab your spot and book it. You know what I mean? And kind of setting it up that way. I think it'll have a stronger close rate for you, and I think it'll lead to more bookings.
Makes sense. Makes sense, because people really like the enclosed bay. So if they know that they could book it and have it at this particular time and not have to worry about, oh, well, someone else is going to be in there, now I'm going to have to wait. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because like me, like my dogs would not do very well, like sitting there waiting 30 minutes, you know what I mean, for the bay to open up and whatever time, you know, before I can get into it and things like that. I would probably just leave and not come back that day. You know, I'd be like, oh, it's not working out right now, so I'll try another time. I think that would serve you very well and serve your customers. Like one, you would have a little bit more idea. You'd be like, oh, I have 3 booked appointments today. I know that, you know what I mean? Then you could do a social media post, be like, hey, we have some openings between, you know, 12 and 2. If somebody wants to get, you know, their pet in, like, here's the link to grab the spot or whatever. Then you can like confidently tell people like, oh, I've got this open. You want to grab this because the other spots are filling up today. Right. And you can be really direct with someone. They're like, oh, my dog needs a bath. You can be like, well, I've got an opening today at 4. Do you want me to book it for you? And like, there's your ask, right? You're like not giving them a reason to say no.
That makes sense. That is a great idea. That is a great idea.
Wow. Wow, Donna, listen to the sales queen over there. Oh my gosh, you can transform.
Lori's normally our sales guru. I'm not just so you know, I am never the person who will ever try to sell anything. I'll be like, I'll just give you all of this. You should have it. And Lori's like, no, shut up, Jonna. Shh.
Donna's our lead generator in our company. And yes, I'm the closer, but that is something we, like, in our minds, this business is this boutique, you know, like this custom cool service that you thought so much about. Individual safe bays, add more bay. If you're going to expand, girl, get the bays, get everybody like freaking booking, and just like little cutesy pops of like the things they can buy. And like on your website, we would imagine that is what the majority of it is talking about. It's booking, lots of links to book. And, you know, I liked what you said before we even started the recording. You mentioned like Bed Bath and Beyond. There's like all the stuff. And while we do think it's a very adorable, like I didn't catch that. That's really funny. We don't recommend that people do all the stuff. We don't want people to think of the brand and think like, well, it's like, you know, it's everything. We want them to be like, oh, that's that thing everyone's booking. Like, crap, I got to book in there. Like, I'm never going to get in. So I'm not telling you to do anything dramatic, like change your business name, but I'm not telling you to do that either. Because I don't want you to feel like you have to.
I'm going to push back on you, Lori, because I like the business name because the Beyond is referring to the animals, right? It's like the different types of animals, not the types of services or products. So I actually like the name.
If you focus in on that, I would agree. Because then people know, oh, I can bring my hamster for a wash. Like, wow, I never dreamed that would be reality. So cool. So yeah, it's really like the positioning. That's why she's a brand strategist, right? So if you position in that way and focus the Beyond on all possibilities, you could bring your reptile, you know, if that's true. That's where I would go. And for the what in terms of marketing, John and I were loving the I think you had a video maybe where you were showing how to like put something on. More of those, please. More of, because the harnesses are going to be your big sell for e-com, but also like, how do you book? What do you offer? The fact that it's available, that now you can book in advance, or maybe book a few in advance. Those are the kinds of reels, because you don't want to forget. We just talked about this yesterday. Sometimes we don't realize that people don't know what we do, or they don't know how to get access to it, just because we're used to like people knowing us. But really, we're all kind of just a little, I'm not going to say dumb, I'm going to say busy. Maybe forgetful, maybe, you know. So like we're goldfish. You understand pets.
Yeah, but truly, our attention span is a lot shorter. Like, it's scientifically, attention span is shrunk as technology has grown and grown and grown. So you have like minuscule amount of seconds to like get someone to click or like buy, you know what I mean? Like, you have to really make an impact. And so I think shifting your marketing language a little bit around like pushing that self-wash, pushing like how the fact that you're serving people, love the educational video, like want to see more of those, like, you know, every week do some sort of educational video piece, whether it's showing a product or like a why, you know, like why we use this type of shampoo product and not this one, you know what I mean? And like doing a little information, you know, showing a, like going through the process of doing a wash on an animal and like having that be content. Like Lori said, like putting in those asks, like booking times and things like that. I think all of that. And then again, that language, like what kind of animals can you wash in our self-wash bays, and like listing them all out, you know, because people want to see themselves, you know. And I think even too, which this flip will make things a little bit easier, but we notice you do a lot of graphics and things like that. I would only do graphics like 20% of the time. You are in an industry where you are going to be inundated with adorable pictures of animals, and capitalize on that, because you're always going to get better responses and engagement on a picture of a dog in your self-wash station than it would be like a graphic. It's just how the algorithm works, how people are working right now. So like, don't put so much pressure on yourself to be like, oh, I got to make this graphic. You know what I mean? Like, throw up a really cute picture from a customer that's like, yeah, you can totally post that. and put whatever you want in the caption. Be like, oh, this week we're open, whatever. You know, you can have value in the caption too, and it doesn't always have to be on the graphics. That's something I had to tell myself, because 5 years ago, graphics were performing better than pictures, and I like making graphics, but it's just not worth my time anymore.
Yeah. And John is right. You get all these great before and afters even, and, you know, cute little slow-mos you can do with them shaking water. I mean, there's like 7 million ideas you can run with, and you could do this as a solopreneur without going crazy. Because if you ask us, that's more of a money-making task, because you're going to get eyeballs on cute pictures. We already know that works. So we're already telling you to go in the direction that makes sense and not make you more crazy. So in fact, here's your permission slip. I'm handing you my lipstick. It's permission slip. No more flyers. You don't have to, who cares? Ugh, stop making, it doesn't matter. Post cute pictures and like don't spiral. People say, I spent 3 hours in Canva and then I hated it anyway. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. So if you have, don't worry about it anymore. And we didn't mention this, but we've already pivoted into that conversation of how, which is how you deliver the service. So in recapping, it's self-wash, focusing the niche on how you identify that brand naming and language, intentional events, intentional marketing, being in Facebook groups. If you're going to spend your time doom scroll the groups, girl. Especially Oklahoma's got a bajillion of them. I know about it from Jonna.
There's a lot. And
Yeah.
like honing in on the Yukon community, like maybe doing a little series where you go around to all like the pet friendly places in Yukon and be like, did you know that so and so is pet friendly? And that way you're like getting more ingrained in the community, right? And like when you go to those places, be like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but I own blah blah blah, and I would love you to come in, or can I leave some stuff on the counter for your customers? Like, collaborating with other local businesses, building up those relationships with them. You're getting those in between groomer clients. So talking to I know there's a little bit of an overlap in like service there, but a lot of times like groomers who've been around a long time, I mean, they're booked out weeks and weeks and weeks. You know what I mean? Their customers are regular. And if they know those customers aren't coming in, halfway through, like be like, hey, just so you know, like we have been serving so and so and so and so that use you, and we'd love if you guys have any more people who need kind of like a midweek, a mid-session touch-up. We'd love to, do that. We'd put your referral cards on our desk too. And like just really like sitting down, having one-on-ones with other people that are in the same industry as you, but aren't direct competition,
Yes. Yes. I totally understand. I do. I wouldn't say I'm friends with her necessarily. We're acquaintances with a groomer that's actually on Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And so her and I have done that before. I had dropped off some of my flyers and stuff to her. I haven't recently. I need to go back up there. But I did have another groomer come by and was like, hey, can I leave some cards here and I'll let people know about you? Absolutely. Yeah. I just need to be more intentional with.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's like, and I think, as we made our way through this conversation and kind of got to, this how we're going to do this, it's really just like kind of flipping your mindset and spending your time doing those tasks that are intentional or the right things to do, and not, worrying about some of those other things that are just kind of eating up your time. And so I really want to leave you with that. Like, you are doing great, and we just want to like respect your time, and, we're going to keep seeing you grow. I'm going to pop in and get a harness, of course. So I would love to know, and we'd love to know, like, what did you walk away from this conversation? What was your big takeaway?
Really getting in with the city. So I really want to lean into that. Like you were saying, Jonna, lean into the other small businesses, getting in with the chamber, the dog friendly places, and just doing a post about that. Because I'm trying, with my content, I do try to put a bunch of the pets that I see every week on there, and I'll make the videos and put those on there too. But I also kind of want to lean into my technician side of it as well, so that way I can, let people know that I'm able to give you advice. I'm not a veterinarian, but I can help guide you somewhat. So I could do that too, walking around and talking to the other small businesses. So that really resonated with me, because I am not good at one-on-one communication and networking. I'm still kind of that, reserved girl that I was when I was young, that it kind of freaks me out. So I need to kind of just jump in.
I think that's a good thing. A good way to put it is like, just jump right in, because you have the goods. You've got the core values that are so meaningful, and you're here to be of service. And that's a great mindset to keep, is that people are out here in need. They're struggling with something, they're dealing with something, they're wondering, and either you're going to leave them hanging, or you're going to be that voice that they really could use. And I think when we remember to come from that place, why wouldn't you make that real today? Like, of course you're going to go out there and make that thing, greet that person. The intentionality is important, because those are your money-making tasks. So I'm really glad that started to like get into you, into your body and your soul. We're really excited to see what you do with this. And I just wanted to say too, for the people listening, if you're thinking like, this sounds familiar, maybe you're really passionate about your business, but maybe you're struggling to scale it to the next level. I hope you also got some aha moments for yourself. And remember that Donna and I, we have your back. And if you're ready for your own reality check and you want to be a guest on the show, head over to becomethrive.com to apply. The link is also in today's show notes. We promise to be honest with you, even when it's uncomfortable, because that is how growth happens. So stop pretending everything is perfect and let's get to work. Thank you again to everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.
Success is a lie if you're